Welcome to the Lisa Mitchell Show. I am your host, Lisa Mitchell. This is the show where we help millennial women crack the code in business and in life. Thank you so much for joining me today. You guys are going to love this conversation. We are talking with an amazing executive coach, HR professional. She really understands people and understands individuals within a larger context in a company, and where things can go great and where things can go a little sideways. And Lauren Moffatt is joining us. Thanks, Lauren.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah. So Lauren, you're an executive coach. You're a human resources professional. You are vice president of human resources at Public Safety Medical. Mm-hmm. And, you know, why not just also own and be president of Spark HR? You do all the things.
That is true. Yes.
Yeah. So you know a little bit about people. You know a little bit about managing people and organizations and making things click. And you've seen kind of the good and the bad and the ugly of what happens when somebody's really living fully in alignment, and when somebody's even a degree out of alignment, and the impact that can have. And so that's going to be our topic today for the audience that's listening and watching. We're going to talk about the concept of alignment, because I know from my own experience, my own professional journey, that you can talk yourself into thinking a misalignment is okay. And it doesn't really seem like it's that big of a deal until you stay in misalignment long enough and you find yourself completely off center. Mm-hmm. And I know, Lauren, you've had some experience around that as well. I'd love for you to share your story with the audience, and we can kind of kick it off from there.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I think it's just like you were saying. I mean, it's such a personal journey, and I think sometimes we're not even aware that we're out of alignment. Certain things may just start to happen where maybe you're just less interested in certain things that you do, or you feel a little like you want to procrastinate. Maybe you're just not, you have the Monday morning blues, and then it's the Tuesday, Wednesday morning blues. So it starts, with those little types of things that just don't feel like you. And so, this is such a personal journey for me too. And with my clients, this is a big topic, is about this idea of alignment and congruence. It was such a personal experience. I would say 5 or 6 years ago, I had, a 7-year-old daughter and an 18-month-old little girl. And, I thought, I've got this executive career, I've got these 2 kids, I've got the house, et cetera. And something just felt off for a while. And I stumbled upon, I went kind of through a self-exploration phase and stumbled upon this book called The Confidence Gap. And I read something that just really changed my life. And it was about values and value alignment. And it was this discovery process and this idea of, what does success look like? And I started asking people, like, what's your definition of success? And so it really came down to identifying, what were my values, and then looking at, how was I living these out in my work, in my family, in my relationships, and really started making some bold changes, like changing where we live and moving and changing jobs. And so, it's not something that happens overnight, but I think that intentional journey just sparks something that starts to bring you, for me, alive, and my clients experience the same thing. There's something magical about knowing your values.
Yeah, I want to talk for a minute about that moment of, I guess, of awareness. Mm-hmm. When you got the confidence gap, and you started realizing that there's a process to help you identify this, but then you find out, wow, I'm really misaligned. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not living my values, or maybe I didn't even know what my values were. Mm-hmm. For the people that are listening and watching this, can you walk us through like what we can maybe expect during those moments of initial awareness, and how not to get discouraged or overwhelmed by that?
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. My biggest plug is going to be find 2 to 3 people that really care about you, and bring them in on this journey with you. That's my first thing. I don't think you should ever go through this alone, because you are processing things, and in our minds, we can get so lost in our own thoughts. And so just to have people that care about you that are willing to talk through, like, oh my gosh, my value is creativity, and I have nothing like that in my life.
Yeah.
Just starting that process. And, and people encouraging you too, like, oh, well, what if we just helped you and we went and got your easel up and your paint's out and let's just paint. Let's just have a Saturday paint day. So I think it starts with small steps like that, where it's just a single decision that then creates this momentum and this feeling as you cross that like gap, that chasm of, oh gosh, this is my current life. It's really not as far as you think it is, just to take one step.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point, Lauren, as far as how to mentally kind of process forward movement. Yeah. Because I know when I realized I was in misalignment and how drastically misaligned I was across many different channels in my life, it was kind of like, oh crap, like how do I ever, well, now I know, but now what? How do I ever start making forward progress on this? And I think you're absolutely right. Having people that will just objectively listen to you and support you, and then just pursuing proving to yourself, providing evidence to yourself that you're strong enough and capable enough to build in one piece at a time, right? So I call it reclaiming yourself. That when you can start reclaiming your values, reclaiming the things that light you up, that's really encouraging. It's just evidence, right? We're all scientific minded at some core level. And if I don't see it, I'm the type of person, if I don't see it, I don't believe it.
Oh yeah.
Prove it.
Well, and if you think about it, like that value seems a little hokey, right? Like how could this provide that much momentum? Or how could this cause so much pain? But it does. It really does. And I mean, I definitely had some dark moments. And so, you wouldn't at first glance think that something like this would have such impact. And another thing is I would really encourage, the second piece is to have a coach or someone that is trained that can help you walk through this process, serve as a champion for you, and also hold you accountable, because there are some, tough bumps as you're making some big decisions. I mean, to sell our house was no small thing, to downsize our life by half so that I could pursue a career, doing my own thing. And so there are a lot of moving parts. And at the same time, that's why it's so important, I think, to have those people that are championing you and can see that. You can see you when you can't.
So you mentioned, kind of nonchalantly making the decision to sell your house and, downsize by half, and now you're on the other side of it, right? But I'm gonna just throw you back into that for a second, because I think, for someone listening to this or watching this that might be in that spot of awareness, and then, whoa, like it's going to take some major changes, and it's not just going to impact me. It's going to impact, a partner or a child or some other major stakeholder in their life. Like, how do you manage through that? Like, what was it like before you had that conversation where you're like, oh, by the way, I'm out of alignment. We're going to sell the house.
My husband was like, yeah.
Right. I mean, like, and I'm, kind of being flippant about it, but I know the gravity of that situation, because I've had a similar one in my life during my career transition as well. And it's terrifying. Like, how do you prepare to walk into that conversation when you know it's exactly right for you, but there's other people who may not get it?
Yeah. Well, I kept it secret for a week. But I think I'm totally kidding. But what I really did is, I grieved a lot. I mean, the conversation when I was thinking about talking with AJ about this, who is my husband, he is my husband. I was going to say at the time, I'm like, no, we're still together. But I think for me, I remember it was a morning. I mean, I had my robe on, and I remember thinking, if I don't tell him, I'm not going to do this. So I need to just tell him. And I don't need to say it as, a carte blanche statement, like this is what we're doing, but I need to bring him in on something like this. This is huge. This is going to affect him. And, we had just moved into our house a few years before that. We love this home. And, the financial security conversation, I mean, that's a big whammy.
Yeah.
So little things like I made sure, the girls were taken care of. And I said, I really would love to have a conversation with you about, what this could look like. And emotionally, I'd prepped the day before with a friend. And so I kind of went through, what did I really want to say? And not coming down with a hammer, like this is what we're doing, because he is a part of, when you have a partner, they're a part of your life and making those decisions, and that buy-in is so important, and then investment. And so it was a series of conversations. It wasn't just one. And it took us, about, I would say 3 months to really get through that. Like, okay, we're doing it. And then after that, it took us over a year to sell the house. So we were still in transition and adjusting and making decisions. So I think it's not an overnight conversation, but at the same time, to get accountability around those conversations are important.
Yeah, no, I think that's important to realize and to kind of speak out loud too. So thank you for sharing that, because I feel like so many people that are trying to get in alignment or feel like they're misaligned, like they want to just make the decision and then have it fixed.
Oh yeah.
And if it doesn't, then, oh, maybe it's not the right thing, or maybe I'm being selfish, or, all the head trash kind of kicks in and really impacts how you're showing up in those places and spaces, and makes you less effective, makes getting into alignment that much harder. So the fact that you're saying it's multiple conversations, it's multiple months or a year, it's making the decision and then planning for the eventual outcome, right? It's not a finger snap and all of a sudden everybody buys in and the path is cleared and off you go. Like the fact that it'd be awesome if it was.
I know, that would be so nice. But it was, I think, and you're exactly right. I think what was frustrating for me during that time is that I would have so many conversations with people, even in my own situation where they were transitioning and things just fell into place for them. And so I would second guess myself, like, am I doing this? Like, is this right? And because it did take longer for me. And the gift of that is that I really, really knew, like, this is what I want. And so now as things, as you're starting a business, the first 5 years, you go through a ton of bumps. I look back on that time and just think, I really want this. I made it through that. I will make it through this, so it's a gift. And I say that because I wish someone would have said that to me in that time for myself. Like, it's okay if this is hard,
Yeah, no, and that's important, because I think there's this perception, or there's kind of this comparison game that we play, even, not to mention all the crap you see on Instagram or social media, or, the quick fixes and overnight transitions and everyone's massive success. It's hard to not feel like you're falling behind, or like you missed out, or that you just won't ever get there.
Yes.
And even when you're in perfect alignment, even when in your heart with complete certainty that this is the direction I need to go, it's still freaking hard.
It's freaking hard. Get yourself a clan.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. And for the people, watching and listening, in full disclosure, Lauren and I, we have tried to do things on an island. And have realized, it's a lot easier and a lot more fun when there's other people with you. And so Lauren and I are part of this amazing group of women, affectionately known as the Magic Ruckus Makers. And we're kind of all in the same space of trying to stay in alignment and trying to be really clear with boundaries and kind of create the lives that we want. And our conversations they're hard. Like they really are, and there's a huge amount of realness that I think is not nearly talked about enough when it comes to finding and staying in alignment. It's not easy.
No, it isn't.
It isn't. And, just to your credit, like Lauren sent me a text the other morning that hit me at just the right time. Like it was a frustrating day and I hadn't even really had my coffee yet. And I was already like wound. And I got the text and it was just so nice to have somebody who had an awareness of what you're going through and would give the gift. Like you really gave me a gift, Lauren, of acknowledgement and support. And this process would be so much harder without you and without, the people that we have around us, for sure.
Oh, I feel the same way. And I mean, same for you. I mean, I've had my cry moments and you've been there to champion me. And so it's like, this is such a gift, like to have people like you. And I want that for other people. And I think I love that you're doing this podcast because it really just champions other people. Like go get yourself a tribe that supports you.
Yeah.
And we all need it. We will achieve so much more when we have that.
Yeah, I think it's good because we do get caught in our own head and we do second guess our plays and is this the right place for our effort and is this ever going to amount to what we want it to be and it's really hard if you don't have good objective people to challenge your crazy. Like the crazy takes over. That's not like that's not, I'm not saying that lightly. It's that we all have head trash and different things that show up for us and just can really just ruin the game, and keep you stuck. That's the biggest risk of not having clarity, of not having awareness, of not having a tribe around you is that you stay stuck. And I don't know, Lauren, I know you've helped a lot of people through transition, helped a lot of people gain clarity and awareness around this. What is it that you see that keeps people stuck the most? Is there one thing or a series of things that you see kind of pop up over and over again?
I think there are two things. One is just, it's very simple, but it's big. It's self-awareness. Like the question of what do I want is probably one of the hardest questions to answer for people. So I think it's, and sometimes that can be 20 layers deep because, they have just been kind of on autopilot.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like starting back over. So self-awareness is huge. And I think the second piece is, doing things for the right reasons, at the right time. And the other is clarity. I do think that is really huge because this world is busy, it's fast, and there are thousands of choices that you can make a day that are either on course or off course. So that piece, clarity, and then if there isn't accountability, so not only do you have your tribe, but also accountability. So people that hire a coach, they're really taking ownership and investing, that they're saying, I'm making a commitment, I'm making a financial commitment to see this through, and I'm paying for someone to call me out. I mean, essentially. So, and it's always in a supportive, challenging, helpful way. But I think, like anything, when we look at our checkbooks, or we don't use checkbooks, if we look at our statements, that was like a Gen Xer comment there.
When you log into your online banking account, when you check your Venmo balance.
I know, got the stuff there. So, when you look at that, you're looking at what you're investing in, and I think we're so quick to invest in other things, and so that has been the other just game changer.
Yeah. I think the lack of self-awareness, the lack of clarity, and I think one of the things that I see working with my clients is that people feel obligated to chase things that aren't meant for them.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, well, my parents expect me to be this, or I've already put, 6 years of college into that, so I have to stay in this field. Or, there's like this weird martyry sense of obligation of either pursuing someone else's dreams or fulfilling somebody else's goals, or like, and I don't know if that's a cop out. Like, do you think that's like lack of ownership, or because they're uncertain or they don't have clarity, or do you think it's really like this misplaced sense of obligation?
I think that's so multifaceted. I mean, I think it's a both and. I think also too, as we grow up and we learn to differentiate from our parents, the people that we want to please, that's a very intentional effort. I mean, to really say, I'm going to be different, I'm going to go after this,
Yeah.
or, just society expectations. There's so much of that. And then also obligation. I think each person has to decide like what has kept me here, or what's the barrier for me.
Yeah, what's kept, that's a powerful question, I think. Like I really, for those of you that are watching or listening to this, if you feel stuck somewhere, just take a second, right? Pause this right now and ask yourself, what is keeping you stuck?
Mm-hmm. Right, because there's something comfortable about it.
Yeah, that's such a great challenge question right there. Right. And that's one, if I was feeling stuck and listening to this, I probably would just skip over and not do. Because then there's the ownership and the accountability piece, right?
We see you.
Right. So quit hiding, you guys. Quit hiding. Go pause, rewind it if you need to. Take a minute, reflect. What is keeping you stuck? If you feel stuck in something, what is keeping you there? And is it valid? Is it real? Is it the truth? Is it something that's serving you in the current state of life and your current, kind of time that you're living in right now? Or is it some old story or old expectation or fear? Mm-hmm. Like, what is it? This is your challenge to have a moment of realness, compliments of Lauren. To just honor yourself, have that conversation, and then see how you feel about the answer. See if it's worth the opportunity cost to keep doing what you're doing. Or
I love that, because it's like I can't comprehend how many stories, like the stories that we tell ourselves that are not rooted in truth. I mean, oh my Atlanta, like we have
giant liars. We are giant liars to ourselves.
Yes. So it's like, and just getting that separation to say like, what story, this is the story I'm telling myself. I'm telling myself that I can't find another career, so that's why I'm staying here. So to start to poke at that, and really think about that, is that true? And start to expand your options, because we have so many options, and so many times we just think of it's either A or B. Right. And so, it starts really the beginning of seeing a lot of success and fruit and alignment.
Yeah. Yeah. So what keeps you brave, Lauren, when you're in the middle of realigning some part of your life? What encourages you? What keeps you brave when it's like there looks like there's only A or B, but I know there's something else?
Oh, that's such a personal question, because I think being a small business owner and starting a company, that's something that I confront every day. So I think there are times when I can't be brave. And so I call on someone that can step in and speak into that braveness for me. Mm-hmm. And the second, I think the other thing, there's so many things, but the other thing is that, I was just talking about the whole concept of failing with my husband the other day. And I'm really learning how to redefine what that means. And I actually felt like authentic excitement about the fact that I'm failing, because that means I'm really trying, and that means I'm going to get to something good. So I think it's creating new stories, and catching those quick, and then reaching out for when I don't feel brave, because there are those moments. We're not brave 100% of the time. There's no way. So I love Dr. Brene Brown's story, about how when you're out in the arena and you're fighting and you fall over and you've got dirt on your face, and a friend comes over and helps you pick you up, and it's like, you're going back in. I mean,
Right. They're not there to rescue you and take you to Bora Bora, right? They're there to get you back in to fight another round. Yeah.
Yeah. So that definitely keeps me going.
I love that. That's so good. You've given so many amazing nuggets and actionable items. If I'm listening to this right now and I'm like, oh my God, she's talking to me, like, and I feel that tug of accountability and ownership, like, what is the first thing you would tell that person who's feeling the tug of like, I need to get in alignment? Where do I start? One thing to move the needle forward.
Write it down.
Because then it's a thing, right? Then it exists.
That's the power of the written word. It's pretty magical. Write it down. And then, I'm going to challenge you. And I would say the second thing is to tell somebody that loves you. So those two things are those small steps that can really spark something big.
All right, guys. So those of you listening and watching right now that feel like, oh my God, they totally called me out. I am in misalignment. I'm feeling stuck. Good news. You have homework to start moving you forward. You know what to do now. No more excuses. No more, well, this is just what's meant for me. False story, right? And the first step, write it down, claim it, own it, acknowledge it, bring it into the world, and then tell someone who will have your best interest at heart and can give you objective, continual support.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
All right, so no excuses, y'all. Like,
no excuses.
Start moving towards alignment. The longer you stay out of alignment, the bigger the bigger it grows, and the less happy you'll be. And there's no reason to suck the joy out of your own life. It doesn't make any sense. All right, Lauren. This is just the beginning of the story, and I wish we had the rest of the day, but we got empires to build, so we got to wrap it up. All right, where can people connect with you? Where can people find out more about you, work with you, hire you as a coach to kick their ass when they need it? Where do we go?
Yeah. So right now I'm on LinkedIn, so connect with me on there. I'm actually hosting a free event, a workshop next week called 3 Ways to Crush Your Job Search. So if you're in the line of looking for a new position, maybe you have this alignment type of exercise and you're like, I need a new job. Well, I'm here to help you and help you get that started. And the other, my email. So it's lauren@sparkhr.co. And my website's under construction, but soon that will be sparkhr.co. So I will be out and about on the internet, and feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I would love to hear from you.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Lauren. And I will link all of your information up on show notes as well. So whether you're subscribed on iTunes or watching on the Wooditch Network or wherever you're coming across this conversation, you should be able to easily find out where to go to connect with Lauren. So we're going to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for watching the Lisa Mitchell Show, where we help you crack the code in business and in life. I think today we did a good job on both of those fronts, helping people be a little more clued in and confident in whatever room that they're walking into. So until next time, guys, be awesome.